Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Susan, and today I want to share with you on how to make this overlap maxi dress. I'm going to teach you how to work with a velvet fabric perfectly, how to cut the lining, how you should the things you should be using to make your velvet come out well, because it's very stretchy. So if this sounds like what you like to learn, stay on the line while we get started, guys. I'm going to use pattern paper to actually cut the upper part of this dress. So before we start, we are going to keep about our nipple to nipple plus half an inch for seam allowance. So our nipple to nipple is 8, so I'm going to keep 4.5 inches for our overlap. So go ahead, you can keep 5, you can keep 4.5, depending on what you want. So this is me just drawing that line, and I'm going to draw a straight line, and after that all our measurements are going to be starting from that line where we have the overlap. So from there, from that particular line, I'm going to take our shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then when I was done, I'm going to go ahead and take our armhole tape. You can divide your arm or your shoulder by 2, and what you have, you can put it there. So when I was done, what I had to put it there. Then from that point, I'm going to make sure that what I have on the shoulder is what I also have at the armhole point. So I'm going to draw those lines together. After that, I'll just take my bust measurement divided by 4, and whatever I have, I added it there, and also draw a straight line that way. I went ahead and take a neck width of 3.5 inches and then slope the shoulder by 1 inch, and from there I'm going to just connect it that way to give me that or you can see because our shoulders are not straight, so we have to cuff it so it doesn't puff out.
But something shifted in the breeze, put my worried heart at ease. Yeah, a little whisper, soft and low, told me it was time to let things go. A simple truth I started to embrace, found a smile upon.
After that, I'm going to take a bust point, and I'm going to take the full length of this dress. So I'm going to go ahead now to draw a straight line. Beg your pardon, the half length. This is a half length, so we are going to still cut the other one. So after that, right now, what I want to do right now, I want to go ahead now to draw our armhole curve. So I'll divide my midpoint by 2, and whatever I have, I'm going to come in by half an inch over there, and from there I'm going to connect from the up to that place to give us that round armhole shape. So you can go ahead and do same, just connect it this way. From that upper part, just connect it this way, and you have your armhole. You can see how it is. So this is my waistline, and this is the hem line, and I'm going to also draw the bust line point. So I'm also going to go ahead now to draw the under bust point. So under bust is actually 12.05, so I'm going to mark it there, and I'm going to draw it. And when I was done drawing it, I'm going to go ahead now to label it. So this is a bust point, and this is a under bust point. So this is it, guys. These are all the lines that we are going to be needing. So for us to make this particular dress, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a big dart. You're going to take big dart. So you're going to go ahead, the dart is just going to stop on the underbust. So at the waistline, I just came in by a nipple to nipple, which is 4 inches, and also at the hem line I came down also by 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead now to draw a straight line that way. So when I was done, I'm going to go ahead now to take our dart. So I'm going to take a dart of 3/4 of an inch on each side. You can do 1 inch, so but just know that that is not going to exit our under bust. So the that is actually stopping at exactly under bust. So when I was done, I'm going to go ahead now to take our waist measurement divided by 4. Then I'm going to add this allowance So I decided to increase that waist. That So I'm going to add whatever we take from out from there. I'm going to add it back, and also from this other end, whatever we take from there, we are going to also add it back, and we'll add our allowance. So on this waistline, I decided to add about 1/4 inch down there. So it's going to be 1 inch on both sides. If you get me, it's going to be 1 inch on both sides, and I'm just going to connect it that way, and the other side I'm going to connect it also. So at that, the dart I actually took is 1 inch on both sides. 1 inch on both sides. That's the dart that we took. 1 inch on both sides, guys. So this is because we are trying to make room for the cup at the back. We are trying to make room for the bust at the upper part. So we want the bust to be there. You know, this is an overlap. There is not going to be cup. So after that, just take your your waist measurement divided by 4, and whatever you took out from the dart, you're going to add it there, and add about 1 inch for seam allowance, or 1.05 inch for seam allowance. That's what I did over there. So on the bust point, I'm just going to go ahead and add the inches seam allowance. So I'm just going to add seam allowance at that point, and after that, I'm just going to connect it to this other point, and that will be all. So by the time I actually take my data allowance, it's going to come out well. So from that down part, I just went ahead to draw that straight line, and now let's work on the neckline. So I'm just going to come down by 7 inches. You can do more, you can do 8, or however you like. From that 3.5 inches, our neck width, you're just going to draw a line that way. You can see how I drew it. So I decided to make it 7.05. So that's why I came down by another half an inch, and I'm just going to connect it using my curve ruler this way. I'm just going to connect it down there. You can see, so we have our V neckline that way, and from there at the down part of this half cut, I'm going to come up by 1 inch for seam allowance, and I'm going to turn my curve ruler this way, and I'm going to connect it just like you see me doing, guys. So turn your curve ruler this way and also connect it like this. So this is going to serve as the overlap. That's going to be the point where they are going to be crossing each other. So guys, if you've watched this video to this point, I'd like to please beg you to please subscribe, turn on the notification button, and please like this video, guys. Like this video and share to your friends. Thank you so much to my returning subscribers, guys. I really do appreciate. Thank you, and let's continue. So this is me just cutting it off. This is me cutting the front part, and you can see I've already cut it out, and I also cut the shoulders. And guys, if you don't want to stitch on your fabric, you can actually fold it like this, sellotape it, and cut it on your fabric directly. But I'm going to stitch on my fabric, so I'm not going to cut that out. That's why I'm going to leave it there. So this is the back pattern. I've already brought out a paper. The back pattern, we are going to come down by our chest line and the half length of this dress. So shoulder to chest line and shoulder to half length of this dress. So when I was done doing that, I'm also going to take about when I was done doing that, I'm just going to draw these lines across, so I will know exactly where to input my. So after that, I'm going to keep, because there is going to be zipper, so I'm going to keep about 1.05 inches for my zipper allowance. So that's what I'm just doing over there. From the top to the down part, I'm just going to take about 1.05 inches, which is going to serve as our zip allowance. So this is it, guys. So from our zip allowance, it's just going to take the same inches we took for our neck width over the front, which is 3.5 inches. I'm just going to place it over there on the shoulder line, and I'm also going to go ahead now to connect it this way. I came down also by 1 inch From there, go ahead and take shoulder measurement divided by 2, and whatever you have, you just add it there. Also come down by the same inches you took at the shoulder. You're going to take it at the chest line, which is also the armhole line, which is 8, so it's also the armhole line. So from there, you're just going to cross the line across like this, so you can take your armhole measurement. So for me to do that, just like we did at the front, I'm going to go ahead now, take our bust measurement divided by 4, and I'll also slope the shoulder by 1 inch. And when I was done, I'm going to go ahead now to just draw the straight line, as our shoulders are not straight. From there, I'm going to also use my curve rule to make that round armhole shape at the back. So at the back, we are not coming in by half an inch, we're just coming in this way. So we have our armhole. I'll go ahead and take the darts for this back. So our darts for the back is actually going to end at the chest line. So I'm just going to take an nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'm going to add it there. So 1 nipple to nipple is actually 8. So I divided it by 2, and that's 4. So I'm just going to put it across all the points to the half length. And when I was done, I'm just going to use my curve ruler. I'm just going to draw a straight line so I can actually impute my dart at the back pattern. So you can decide to tear it out, or you can decide to still do it like this. So on both sides, I'm going to take half an inch on both sides, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect it from that half length to the chest line, just that way. So when I was done, I'm just going to go ahead and take a waist measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to add it there. Then I'm going to also add the inches that we took as a dart. Then from there, I'm going to also connect it this way, and I'm just going to connect from that place. I'll just connect from that bust point. Remember, we've added our allowance also, so we're just going to connect it this way. So that is it, guys, for the back pattern. So when we are done, I'm just going to go ahead and label it. That's our chest line, and that is our waist and our aim line. So I'm just going to cut it off this way. We're going to cut it off, and while we start now to work on this zipper allowance, so I'm going to minus half inch from the zipper allowance. This is because I do not want the bag to bulge out at the waist region, because our waist ends really straight. So when I was done, I'm just going to connect it this way, and remember, I am not going to replace that particular one. And also, this is because the fabric is already stretchy, so there is going to be enough room for other things. So I'm going to cut that off. Note that the half length for the front and the back are not the same. At the back, I actually use 16 inches, while at the front, I actually use 17 inches. So now we are going to also make it to correspond. So because I use 17 inches at the front and I use 16 at the back, so at the sides, they are going to be equal. So I'm going to minus 1 inch from the front, so it's going to correspond at the side. Then I'm just going to blend it this way to meet the that, just that way, just at the side, so they're not going to be the same. The back is already 16 inches, and so it will just correspond at the back. So that is it for the front and for the back. So this is the fabric that we are going to be using. This is the velvet I told you about. So we are going to go ahead now to gum that paper stay on the fabric. Then this is the lining I also talked about. The lining, we are going to cut it in a bias form, because even after adding the paper stay, the velvet is going to still be stretchy. So you're going to cut your lining this way on the, just cut your lining on the bias side, fold it this way in a triangular form, and you're going to place your pattern paper, and you're just going to cut it. If you don't cut it this way, it's not going to correspond with the velvet. So you have to make it also stretchy. The stretch is not going to be much, because you're still going to add paper stay, but let them stretch along. That is exactly what I mean. You're going to make them stretch along. So that is what I said I was going to show you how to cut the lining. Just cut it in a bias form. If you cut it straight, it's not going to stretch, so it's not going to kind of be uniform with the velvet. So I just go ahead now and cut it, guys. So this is it. When I was done cutting it, I'm going to go ahead now. You can see how stretchy it is. So they are going to stretch along. Then after that, I'm just going to go ahead and notch my that for the front. So I told you guys I don't want to cut it out. I don't want it to like I'm going to stitch on top of the fabric. So this is my velvet. I've already gum paper stay. The light I have is not that good, so I did not really gum it very well. So I've added paper stay also to the lining, and I'm going to, before I cut on the fabric, I've already added paper stay so that it will not be disturbing me. So this is it after I was done cutting on the paper, after I was done cutting on the fabric and every other thing. This is how it came out, guys. I added all my allowance when we were cutting, so this is exactly what we have. This is for the front. We are going to cut it two. Going to cut on the front, we are going to cut two, and at the back is going to be two pieces, one for the other side and one for that other side. So that's what we are going to do right now. So after I was done, this is what it is, guys. So I'm going to go ahead now to take my dart for the front. Remember we kept 1 inch, so we are going to take our dart by 1 inch. I'll take the dart for all the parts. I'll take for the back, I'll take for the lining. And when I was done, this is how it is. You can see the dart did not exit the underbust. It's just a small dart at the underbust. That's where it's going to end. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and place the lining on the actual fabric, and I'm going to turn the neck. You know this has become a neckline, so I'm just going to turn it by the half inch that we actually added. I also go ahead now to turn the back, so I'm going to place it this way and I'm going to turn it that way. Remember, when you're turning, you're not stretching it, you're not doing anything, you're just doing it in a soft way. This is it for the front. When I was done, you can see how it came out, and I'm also going to iron it. So after that, I'm going to join the shoulders together, so I'll place it this way, and I'm going to place this other side. I'll place the back and the front sides, and I'm going to stitch it lining to lining. And with half inch that we with half inch, I didn't actually add, so I didn't add allowance because the fabric is already stretchy. So when I was done, this is how it came out, guys. We're going to go ahead now to iron it. So that is how it came out, guys. So this is it from behind. So right now we are just going to go ahead and place it and arrange it very well, and also check the waist, the shoulder line, because we are going to stitch it like this. We are going to be turning the shoulder line because there is no sleeves. So when I was done, this is how it is. So we're going to notch it before we turn it over to the front for you guys to see how it came. So when I was done notching, I'm just going to go ahead now to bring it over to the front, turn it over to the front. And when I was done, this is what we have, guys. So I'm just going to go ahead now to iron it. Go ahead and iron it so it will be. And please, guys, while you're doing this, you can add Amy gum to it. You can add Amy gum so it will just lie down flat. So that is it. So when I was done, I'm going to go ahead now to turn the zipper allowance. This is the back side of this dress, so I'm going to turn the zipper allowance just that way. So when I was done, I just went ahead and stitched the zipper together. You can see this is the back side, so we have the zipper together. So right now I'm going to go ahead and shape this dress by the side. So we are actually going to shape it lining to lining, and we are going to shape it fabric to fabric. So while you're shaping it, just make sure you're not dragging it, because if you're dragging it, one side will be longer than the other, and even if it is, you're just going to lose it and you try to do it again. You can see how it came out when I was done shaping it with the allowance that we added. So just go ahead and do the same. You can see our overlap is already out. So that's, so you're going to go ahead and iron it very very well. So everything is just going to lie down very well flat, and the places you're supposed to notch, make sure you notch them so everything will lie down flat. So this is what we have, guys. So this is me just trying to arrange it, and when I am done, we are going to keep this aside. We are going to make sure, we are going to find out that the length that we want to have length is actually accurate, and if it is not accurate, we are going to trim it out. You're going to also stitch that part that I just show you. You're going to stitch them together by the notch. You know, you notch that point where you have the overlap, so you're just going to stitch them together so it will become one, like you're going to have your half waistline on the waist. So this is it. I'm just going ahead to confirm the length, and when we are done, we are going to keep it to the side because we are done with the half length. We are going to bring out this Ankara. This Ankara is actually 3 yards of Ankara, so I'm just going to use pleating. I'm not going to use flat because it's not going to be enough for the full length of the dress. And even if I want to say let me join, I have no extra fabric. It's only 3 yards that is available. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to notch at the midpoint. So one part to go for the front and one part to go for the back. I'm not going to cut it out. It's going to be full. I'm not going to cut it out. So this is it. This is the midpoint of this Ankara. So just going to pleat it along. From that midpoint, I'll pleat to the back and I'll pleat to this way. I'll pleat it this way. I'm going to pin it down. Then I'm also going to pleat it the other way. So I want everything to be uniform at especially the front. Everything is going to be uniform, the front and at the side. So I'm going to pin this down. If I check it's not enough, and at this other side where we are going to have where we have the joining at the upper part, I'm just going to go ahead and notch it. So I'll make sure everything are evenly distributed. So when I was done, this is what we have, guys. So I went ahead to pin everything down, and I'm just going to go ahead now to join it to the main join it to the half length of this dress. So you can see I already notched the sides, so we already know the side. This is it. After I pleated it this way, I also pleated it coming way this other way. So from the front is like kissing plate. So after that, I'm going to bring out our fabric now. Going to bring down this. You know, we already notched the midpoint, so you can see how it is the overlap. So then also where we have the joining is going to be also where we are going to stitch on the notch that we have on the Ankara. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch everything with half an inch, and when I was done, this is what we have, guys. This is the outcome. So this is the outcome. This is what we have. We're able to manage it. So we're just going to go ahead now to iron it and make it very smooth. So when I was done, I'm going to also attach a lining to it. So I've gone ahead to cut a lining, a particular lining. I've just cut it is about 1.5 yards that I'm going to use. Then I cut about 24 inches in length. So I'm just going to use this lining to turn it this way. So on the upper part, I'll just stitch it this way. Then when I'm done stitching it, I'm just going to, as I'm stitching it, I am plating it. Yes, so it's going to be a waist measurement. So after I was done stitching everything, I'm going to, before I start stitching, I'm going to keep about 1 inch for the Ankara and 1 inch for the lining. I'm not going to be adding the other part of it because you're going to use that part to turn it. So this is it when I was done. This is it when I was done, and we have that extra half inch at the back. So I'm just going to turn it this way with that half inch that is remaining, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch it down. So this is it when I was done stitching, and I'm just going to flip it over for you guys to see how it came out. So both points are neat. That is what I meant. So that is exactly what we did. So right now I'm going to keep it aside, and this is the bow tie that we are going to use. So I'm going to use this scuba white, then I'm going to just use it to turn on the velvet fabric. So I'll have that particular velvet color. So I didn't actually do it yet. So that is it. This is the velvet. We are done with it. These are bow tie. So we just place it this way, and we are going to look for a way. It's actually preferable if you paste it on their body while they are fitting the dress. So that's how I'm going to, I actually forgot to put extra fabric on the thread that we have there, so you should do that on the bow tie. So this is where we come to the end of our tutorial today, guys. Check our channel, we have other tutorials that you benefit from. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notification button, and please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much. See you in my next one. Bye.